How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to Battlefield 4 Live at E3 2013 here in Los Angeles, California. I'm Alex Mendez, joined by Patrick Bach. Patrick, how are you doing today, my friend?
How are you? A bit tired, but okay.
I think we all are. You know, as the event's been roaring by, it certainly has been quite the showing for Battlefield. A lot of people are talking about it on social media and everything, so it certainly has been really cool to see. So, Patrick, I want to get, I guess, your thoughts on the 3 days that have passed here in California. Well, how has it been for you?
It's been very, very hectic, of course.
Yeah.
Lots of interviews, lots of focus on Battlefield, which is of course something we knew, but not to the extent that we're seeing right now. Yeah. So yeah, we're happy.
You're very happy. Awesome. And overall, I guess this is really like one of the only booths that are doing this. That actually has 64 PCs out there for people to hop into. I guess how have been the fans' reactions here at the venue in regards to it?
I think in general people are very happy that we're actually showing the game and not showing like demo or video or having someone talking about the game, but actually letting people get hands-on with the actual game that is in development right now. So I think it's very, very positive, and I think this is what Battlefield is all about.
That's right.
It's a game that you should play, not look at.
That's right. We're going to go ahead and hop into the gameplay here, and you can actually see a gun that we have not seen a lot of throughout the stream was the P90, and we're seeing it right now. So this is actually pretty cool to watch. So yeah, just a few things that I guess we could talk about in regards to the game. Obviously I've been on Reddit and social media, Twitter, and all that. Seeing what the fans are talking about, and one of the things they talked about was the defibrillator. That was a big point of interest for a lot of fans who like to play the medic class and everything. So defibs are in the game.
Yes.
Right. And so first and foremost, and in regards to how they function, is this more similar to BF3 or is it a completely new thing altogether?
It's actually more or less like in BF3 with, of course, tweaks to make it even better and more balanced. But in general, it worked really well in BF3. People love to use the defibs and get their squad back on the feet. Yeah. So I think that's a very, very good design from the core, but of course we're trying to make it even better.
Now I want to ask you about vehicle balance, right? So we have the tanks out here, right? The M1 Abrams as well as the Chinese tank, and other stuff like that. Any other vehicles we can expect to see? I know that jets are more than likely going to make a return again.
Yes, of course. Jets is very important for not only BF3 but for the franchise as a whole. Also BF4 as well. It was very popular in BF3, so of course we're bringing those back and trying to make the most out of those as well. Other things is, of course, we're replacing some of the vehicles that you saw in BF3. For instance, the Humvee is getting a bit old, so it needs to be retired. So we're replacing it with MRAP, which is the actual replacement of the Humvee, which is a very,
in the military.
It's very, very cool and very sturdy vehicle.
Yeah, and Corey was actually telling me a little while ago, and Corey will be back on in a little bit, folks, but he was telling me that he was doing a lot of damage with that MRAP, just driving around and destroying people when he was actually getting in for the play session. So, I guess another thing is we're looking at a gun right now that is a big question for me, the green laser sight.
Yes.
What is the difference between the green laser sight and the red and the regular laser sight?
Well, right now there's no difference. It's more or less a what color do you prefer? It doesn't really change the gameplay very much, so it's more or less the same. But you never know. We might change and tweak that based on what we've done here at E3, because we're also using E3 as a test bed to try this on real gamers.
Yeah.
And we're getting a lot of great feedback from the floor right now. So all the guys from DICE that are here working are actually making notes as they're watching people play the game, which is extremely helpful for the final touches of the game.
Yeah, because this is still pre-alpha footage at the end of the day, so everything is always subject to change, which is actually pretty cool. Now, here's a cool thing here. So we have the building and the free cam as well with the spectator mode. And before we get into the building here real quick, or maybe we should, because it seems like it might come down. I'll ask about the building first. I am curious. We spoke about building writing in the last one. This time around, if you're on the roof, you're gonna die, right? Period.
If it collapses, if it goes to the full collapse state, yes, you will die. So that's why we have the pre-state where you actually start to rumble, and actually tilts over slightly before it actually collapses. So
because there's a lot of warning before collapses to tell you guys, hey, get off, and you can see these poor chats are still actually on the building. And just for my own sanity, because I really like the concept of building writing, you know, it seems like pretty cool. Is that something that you guys could consider down the line, maybe putting in there, or is it, you know, better that they just get wiped out as soon as the building starts in its collapse state?
Well, that's something we need to, you know, figure out as we move along. You know, this is the first time we see this in a Battlefield game, which is of course a, you know, big step forward for us and for the franchise. So we need to wait and see how this works and see if we need to do any changes or if we can, you know, keep this, you know, evolving as we move along in the franchise. Yeah,
of course. And okay, so in diving a little bit more about what people have been talking about for, you know, what we saw in the beginning stages of this live stream, first and foremost was the health packs, right?
Yes.
That definitely was a point of conversation for a lot of people. There was they called them the big and the small, but you guys are calling it health packs and health boxes, right? If I'm correct. So what is, I guess, what was the strategy in regards to that? Was it just about keeping things moving, keeping things snappy with the smaller health packs?
Yes, we've noticed that there's a lot of people that are, you know, trying to, you know, help their squads as they're playing the game, but the squads are not really paying attention to them. So they're moving very fast as a squad. Someone is trying to give you ammo or something to hand you, you know, health, but you just run away from it. So instead of having everyone stopping and waiting for someone to deploy ammo or deploy a health pack, we wanted to create a version of this that is, you know, lighter and easier to, you know, more or less like a grenade that you throw at people, so that they can at least get a small boost but still being on the move.
Okay, so very interesting stuff there. The other one that I was actually pretty curious about. So some people on day one in the Reddit thread put this out there, a little confused about it. Auto leaning. So now I don't know anything about this.
Auto leaning.
Auto leaning. Yeah.
Maybe they're looking at the. We have a peek over functionality that we haven't really talked that much about that we could probably see people do here. I'm not sure if that's what they're referring to, but
there was
when
not
you're
much
behind a
description on
cover that is of the right size and you press, when you zoom in, you actually move over the cover automatically.
Really?
To get a snappier in and out of cover movement, which is really, really cool, because that means that you can hide on the cover, you aim in the right direction behind the cover, you zoom in, you go over the cover, and you fire. And then you release, you go back.
So it's like for things that when you're crouched down, that could be a little bit above your eye level.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's, you know, covers that are in the right, you know, size will have this feature. It's more or less like the when you jump over, like hurdling over objects, it's the same, you know, those sizes of the covers.
Wow, that's actually pretty cool.
It is very, very cool. It makes the game slightly faster.
I agree with you on that one. I played a lot of first-person shooters, you know, in the past that have things called head glitches, and that seems to negate that completely.
Yes.
So that is really, really cool.
There's a tank in the subway. That's interesting.
Sometimes you want to take a tank to the subway, and that's understandable. I mean, I do that all the time.
So you need 1 or 2 tickets. You know.
Right. I think you might need 2. I don't know. It could be a little too big. Okay, and then the other cool thing that we saw were the incendiary grenades.
Yes.
That was something that I saw and was like, oh, this is a pleasant surprise. Incendiary grenades. How does that work? Is that anti-infantry or is it vehicle-based? Or what is the, I guess, thoughts on that?
It's definitely anti-infantry, and it's more or less a small fire that you start that lasts for X amount of seconds.
Oh, that's a cool view.
This is a very interesting
And
view.
now you're going to see how the cloud of dust is going to affect the gunship's view, as you can see right now. Now the gunship can't see anything. This was actually a big point of conversation for a lot of people on social media. They were all talking about, like, oh, you know, the AC-130 gunship is going to be so powerful. It's like, well, you know, because of Levolution, it actually balances it out very well. So it's a good strategy.
Yeah, that's the whole idea, that you want this, you know, pro and con with everything in Battlefield. It's the whole rock, paper, scissors thinking that we're using for more or less everything that we design for the game.
Yeah.
So there should always be a counter for something, and that shouldn't stop us from adding, you know, really powerful things. But there always needs to be a counter for it.
I agree with you on that one. So back to the incendiaries, you had mentioned it was anti-infantry, not necessarily anti-vehicle, like melting through tanks and stuff like that. So that there definitely seems to be pretty interesting in that regard. And you know, the other thing was we had talked about the defibs beforehand. That was something we mentioned. Now, in this current build that we're seeing right now, is it something that you rank up to, or is it?
No, it's not in this build.
It's not in this build.
The build we're using here at E3 is very limited, and that's because we wanted people to focus on the core gameplay rather than having to, you know, play around too much in the options menus and in the kit setup.
Okay.
Because we want people to spend their time here, you know, playing on the battlefield rather than being in the menus.
Yeah, and so learning how to defib and stuff like that.
Yeah, so we removed some things from the build just to make sure that people have the right focus. Oh, that's a very ugly bug in the game.
The clothing hanger, I thought was a good touch. That's cool. So, all right, and then another cool thing that I kind of want to cover as well is vehicle damage.
Yes.
So it said that, you know, that you can't blow the tires out, right, or something like that.
No, there's no. You can't, you know, just blow the tires out, because that's. We want to have the vehicle damage being very systematic, so it works the same way on all types of vehicles. But then, of course, on different levels. So you don't shoot the tires per se, but you can still immobilize vehicles and immobilize you know, jeeps and tanks like you could in BF3.
Okay, and one thing that I didn't bring up, and you know, this was why me and Corey are the greatest team in all of gaming. He had mentioned about defibbing enemies. Is that something that you guys are looking into?
Yes, of course. You can actually take down enemies.
What about with the blowtorch? You can do the same thing with the torch?
Yes, of course.
Cool. So I can just run up and burn someone,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, you can do that. It takes some time, but you can do it.
Okay, that is awesome. All right. Well, I know that there are a lot of people out there that put that in their montage. You know, they like to go defib you, and then. So another thing that I saw, this was actually something that was brought in Bad Company 2, but you guys are bringing it this time around to Recon Balls. You mean
the bolt action?
No, the Recon ball, like the sensor, the motion sensor ball.
Yeah, absolutely. We have the. It's like you said, it's something we tried out in the Bad Company series, which is pretty cool. You more or less throw a ball that detects, you know, movement.
Yeah.
So it's a very effective, you know, recon toy that you can use to, you know, help your team spot enemies in locations.
That's
of course,
very
it
cool.
times out, so, you know, it's just effective for X amount of time.
Yeah, and another interesting thing that I had saw a lot of players use was the adjustable scope.
Yes.
Right. So that was something that you guys showed in the single-player trailer. That and the canted iron sights as well. Haven't seen that before in other shooters. So this certainly is something new for me, and makes me very happy, because when I love iron sights, right? But I also like to get my long-distance game on too. So in regards to putting it in there, why put it in there now? Was it just like something that you thought, you know what, this is a good sight, a good addition for Battlefield at this point in time?
I think it felt very natural, because people are playing around a lot with you know, the guns and the scopes, and for some people they actually change their strategies as they're playing the game. And we don't want people to have to kind of, you know, die and then go in and mess around with the weapons and then go back in to just change the strategy. So this is a way for people to change the strategy on the fly. And modify your weapon slightly as you're playing the game. So you can go from like iron sight to, you know, a canted iron sight to an optical in click of a button. So.
Yeah, so it is and that is something that you guys are definitely trying to do, keep things moving.
Yes.
Right, and speaking of keeping things moving, swimming. So now, one of my favorite things you guys put in there, for without a doubt, is the boat with the jet ski. I think that's cool. But you guys also added a couple other things as well. We actually saw it in use, I believe, yesterday, when a player was in a gunfight with someone in the water. He ended up diving underwater to avoid gunfire. That was a pretty cool thing to see. So was that like one of the main reasons to do it, because now you can shoot on the water? It's a good defensive tactic. Was that like the plan in that regard?
Since we're adding quite a lot of water to the game, we want infantry combat to not, you know, you don't want to feel like a sitting duck when you actually end up in the water, because, you know, you might have to bail ship, or you have to, you know, swim to get to a point. And in BF3, for instance, it just felt very, very limited the only thing you can do is hope that no one saw you.
Yeah.
But now you can actually both defend yourself by using sidearm, or you can actually dive bullets by pressing
going
crouch.
underwater.
And
Yeah.
you go underwater just quickly and then back up again.
And is there like a length of time that you have to be underwater? Is there like a breathing thing? So there is?
Yeah, so it times out and it's
It'll bring you up
balanced.
automatically?
Yeah, you
Okay.
surface. And that is still under development since it's something we've never seen before. And to us that's very important that we actually get feedback from people here at the event on how that works, looking at all the data that we get from all these play hours, and make sure that we get the design perfect.
A few of the people that I spoke to when they were playing, yesterday we had Yaz come on, who was one of the top player, in FPS. He had, said that he really does enjoy the fact that things are keeping, pace. They're moving. Everything's there's a whole bunch of moving parts. And speaking of that regard was a sprint, right? So now you guys implemented what we've been calling Sprint Swim, which is really, really cool.
Yes.
You also added the ability to drive faster, holding down shift as well. But then the other thing was sprint in general, regular sprint. Now, is there a length of time that you have with the sprint? Is it unlimited? Or is that something you guys are looking into in the future in that regard?
Right now it's unlimited, but it's based on if you start to. It's more based on if you run in a straight path just to get away, you can sprint unlimited time. And that is both for the fact that it feels you shouldn't feel punishing sprinting.
Okay.
Because you're sprinting for a good reason, hopefully. And also you want players to be able to get from point A to point B quickly, because they might have to bail their helicopter or something and they're out in the forest somewhere, so they just need to be able to run fast. But you can't use it to dodge the enemy, because when you start to turn too much, you can't use 90-degree turns and sprint at the same time. So it's still quite limited. It's just a straightforward moving fast away from enemy or to location A or B.
Yeah, and I did notice, again, going back to the other things we were talking about with sprint, the driving faster. So that is a part of that mechanic as well, which is just like keeping things moving, keeping things going. That was a big mission for DICE this time around, I noticed, right?
Yeah, the whole mobility thing is quite important for the infantry soldier, and also for the vehicles to keep things moving if you want to. But then also, looking at the other end of the spectrum, we have a lot of defensive features. We have more tactical features as well, like commander is of course in the extreme in that case. But in general, we want to broaden the spectrum of what the game can be, both from a how fast-paced can it be, and also to how slow-paced can it be.
Okay, and now right now we're looking at a player. Actually, this is one of the top players that is playing right now. I believe he's. If we could bring up the third-person camera real quick and see. Yeah, he's right now 22-8. So that's actually a really cool feature, by the way. We'll dive into that a little later. But I do want to ask you about the weapons in the game. So a lot of people have been asking me in regards to the weapons that are available, the CZ, the U100, those guns, the Scout Elite. Are you guys going to have faction-specific weapons, or is it something where you're kind of just like thinking, you know what, we're probably just gonna have more general stuff so that everyone can use?
We're still actually focusing on having faction-specific weapons, because we think it's a part of fantasy that if you're US, you need to have US gear. If you're Russian, you have Russian gear.
But these are just new weapons that you guys wanted to show off.
Yeah, and then on top of that, we have some weapons that are of course crossovers that we think is they are so unique that you want to be able to access them. At all times.
I noticed that there was a DMR, designated marksman rifle class there that had a specific gun that were for both sides.
Yeah, DMRs is something that all classes have now, so it's also designed that we're moving those as a core weapon for all classes.
Very well. I know I'm going to be using that. Me personally, I happen to enjoy the long guns. You know what I mean? Certainly is really cool stuff. I mean, Patrick, you have just literally given us a plethora of information, even some new information as well. And right now we're actually seeing another new thing that is included in Battlefield 4: secondary attachments.
Yes.
That was now. I am curious about that. Battlefield before, it was always by gun. The gun always had the attachment in it. Whether you unlocked it or not. Why do it different this time around? So am I under the understanding that you guys are going to be adding a lot more secondaries in the game game as well, since we have these attachments?
Yes, we're looking at the secondaries quite a lot. A lot of people like to use the handguns for close combat. You know, it's a very precise and direct weapon, and I think people are using them more than we anticipated. So we wanted to, and you know, in real life, handguns have a lot of gear you can actually attach to them.
Yeah.
So I think it's pretty cool for people to be able to.
I think he just jumped from the AC-130.
Yes.
That was actually pretty funny. Oh man.
Well, that was a strange screen. So again, still in production, right?
Still, it's pre-alpha. So, you know, I guess before we wrap things up here, I have two things to ask you. First and foremost, congratulations on all of the awards that you guys are getting here. I took a picture on it. I'm going to post it up on Instagram a little bit later today. But you guys have like a lot of awards. So, yes. I mean, how does that feel?
It feels great. You know, last time we were here with Battlefield 3, we won a lot of awards, and of course it feels, you know, like people might have get bored with Battlefield. You know, you never know. And then you come here and people seem to like it quite a lot. And we're making a big splash with the fact that we are actually adding quite a lot of new stuff to the game. So it's, I think it's a fresh start for the franchise again.
And for the fact that, again, it is pre-alpha and you guys are getting all of these nominations and awards and all that, really does speak to the talent of DICE and just how well you guys have been putting out there. So my last question. The last one. I've been getting this a lot. My friends over at Pixel Enemy have been heckling me to ask this.
Okay.
Dinosaurs.
Oh, dinosaurs. Yeah, that would be nice, wouldn't it?
That would be nice. So, all right. So that's it. Dinosaurs would be nice. All right, cool. Well, certainly better than dogs. So with that said, Patrick, thank you so much for your time. I greatly appreciate it. I hope you guys learned a lot here today. Patrick Bach, I guess one more thing. Where can people find you on social media? Because I know you have to be on there to some degree.
Yeah, of course. I'm on Twitter. I'm on, I'm everywhere where I should be, and you can always find me in one way or another, right?
You can always find Patrick one way or another. All right. Well, Patrick, once again, thank you so much for your time, guys. We're going to be back in just a little bit with some more gameplay coming at you live from E3 2013 here in Los Angeles, California. Corey will be hopping back in here. We're going to talk about all the things that we learned from Patrick and, of course, from you guys as well. Get on social media. Me and Corey are looking right now. I'm on my phone literally answering, asking questions that you guys are sending us. So with that said, we'll see you in a little bit. Do not go anywhere. More Battlefield 4 coming at you in a bit.